Before we dive into today's episode, we have something important we got to cover. And sometimes we have important life moments that occur that make us take stock of what matters and what doesn't. And I want to take the time today to thank you, Chris. You laid it all on the line this year, Chris Godwin, and you got done dirty. And we're going to dedicate today's wide receiver episode to you, the Rod God, for everything you did this season. And this one's for you, man. I'm going to win this ship that you were on my team. I'm going to beat these two in a league, and it's going to be great. Because on today's episode of the Regression to the Mean podcast, we have our Week 8 wide receiver rankings. I have ranked the top 59, don't hold me to that, wide receivers here for Week 8 of the fantasy football season. I am your host, Sean. I'm joined by my good friends, my co-hosts, my fellow nerds of ball, Aiden Holler and Keegan Thompson. Guys, we just wrapped up our running back rankings. That was a good time. Went a little bit longer than we normally do. We're having a little too much fun.
All right.
Keegan Thompson, you're drinking a cerveza. What's the beverage you're shipping on today?
I've got a cerveza. It is a Vida Oro from Huntington Beach, California, actually. A Mexican style lager with lime. It's hitting the spot right now. We are drinking I mentioned on the last episode, but we're drinking to Sean's last episode as a non-married podcast host. So now, instead of your fiance getting mad at you when we record and talk about 59 wide receivers, your wife will get mad at you when we talk about 59 wide receivers on a weeknight here together. But yeah, stoked to talk about some pass catchers and looking forward to this weekend too.
I'm juiced. I get to make divorce jokes now. It's a big moment for me in my football guy moment, like football guy evolution.
Your career arc?
Yes, my career arc. And Hannah loves that, by the way. And then I get to hang out with you guys this weekend. So this is fun. We get to talk ball. We just talk running backs. Aiden, how we doing today, man? You feeling good? You feeling right? You're sipping water. You've got dinner with your girlfriend's mom coming up, so you got to lock in. How are you feeling, dude?
Yeah, I'm locked in. I'm about an hour out from some real nice New York style pizza. Any San Diego locals out there, Luigi's, you know the deal. So pretty excited, man. Love talking wide receivers. Wide receivers really get me up. I think like running backs are like the alarm clock. It's kind of there, but wide receivers are like you open the blinds, and now I'm really ready to go. So pretty stoked to talk wide receivers with you guys today.
Okay, so today's episode is our wide receiver rankings. If this is the first time you have watched one of our rankings episode, I have gone ahead and I have ranked the top 59 receivers. I've broken them into.
I have news to break for you, Sean.
No, is it 60?
I've got 61.
I'll redo this right now, but I see 231 in the sheets right now.
Oh no! Oh no! Okay, so I've broken this many receivers. We'll get to it. These guys are my fact checkers here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tiers here, or maybe 8. I don't know how to count. I'm gonna redo that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, I got 7 tiers. 7 tiers here of wide receivers. We're gonna go tier by tier. I'm gonna talk about guys that I'm lower or higher on versus expert consensus rankings over at Fantasy Pro. My rankings are powered by a essentially composite score where I take a look at the team's implied team total rank. I look at a wide receiver's fantasy points per game production. I look at their expected fantasy points production. I take a look at their efficiency. Are they a positive or negative regression candidate? I take a look at the defense they're playing and how many points they're giving up to wide receivers. I combine that into something called the RTM score, which is essentially a composite ranking. And for the first time ever in our wide receiver episode, I have projections. Don't hold me to it, but it's essentially just an idea of how much they're going to score based off their historical usage. Very excited to be rolling that out today to all of you. If you want to see my rankings in full, they are in the show notes or the description of this episode. Feel free to click them. They are completely free. Do with them what you will. And, this episode is time-stamped. Do not complain to me about a long intro. If we want to shoot the shit, that's fine. If you want to skip it and get right into the meat of it, these episodes are time-stamped. I sound a little defensive because I get a little annoyed when people don't realize that they're time-stamped. I take time to timestamp it for you all, so use them at your discretion. Before we dive in, though, I'm certain there are people that just clicked on this video for the first time. Like, all right, what are these guys about? How are they going to rank receivers? How are they going to talk ball? If that is somebody's first time engaging with us, Keegan, what should the good people at home do?
You've heard me say it before. You've heard me talk about what I'd like you to do. This week it's a little different because now, more than ever, it's important that we cast your vote to the Mean Team. It's election season.
Oh, no.
We've got a lot of candidates out there in the fantasy football space. And there's one candidate right now who is getting married and will have a wife by the end of this weekend. And nothing would make that wife happier if we were able to make sense of this podcast. And how do we do that? Through subscriptions of the Mean Team, through likes of our mean followers, and through comments of our mean fans. And I mean that both ways because you guys like to pick on me. So what you're going to do is you're going to click this video and you're going to subscribe right away. And you're going to watch this video. If you like it, you keep your subscription. You don't like it, you can take the subscription away. But right now, what matters is boosting Sean into another ether fantasy podcast levels so that his wife can make sure that he does this pain-free and joy-free for the rest of their happy married lives together.
If you like that, wait until we run it back turbo because Keegan's going to get married next year. We're going to be doing the same shit. And then by the time Keegan's getting married, Aiden's probably going to be hopping on board. So get ready for that. We're going to keep running back this playbook and until we can't anymore. Hopefully it's just a one and done for me. But we shall see. After, the Rashee Rice and Chris Godwin injuries, my wife may be leaving me. But we'll get to that a little bit later on in the episode. Okay. I think we're ready to hop in. Keegan, thank you for a kick-ass intro. Appreciate that as always. Again, one last thing to call out. We're recording this Wednesday evening. We've only had 1 day of injuries. We've got injured wide receivers in the final tier. We'll touch on them a bit if they do play and our thoughts on that. All right. Tier number 1, wide receivers 1 through 6. Feels like this stays pretty consistent. But I've got wide receiver 1, A.J. Brown, wide receiver 2, Justin Jefferson, wide receiver 3, Cooper Kupp, baby, wide receiver 4, Drake London, wide receiver 5, Jamar Chase, and wide receiver 6, Amon-Ra St. Brown. All right, my dogs are losing their shit. Give me a second. And I'm back. Okay. Calling out here, A.J. Brown, I've got him 2 spots ahead of expert consensus rankings. Why? Because he's one of the best players in the NFL. I don't know what to tell you. A.J. Brown is a freak. I think they're going to be airing it out often against Cincinnati. He's my top play this week. Cooper Kupp is back. In terms of my projection, highest projection on the slate. In terms of the RTM score, highest RTM score of any player. Him and Breece Hall are the top 2. Didn't rank him number 1 because 1, he's 31 years old. He's coming off an ankle injury, and they might trade him. So I don't really know how to approach this, but from my understanding, he is going to play. And if he plays, he's going to smash. That's just my thinking. The rest of the guys, you know the drill. Drake London is just dunking on me every single week. Jamar Chase remains the outlier of outliers in a juicy matchup. And Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to see even more targets with J-Mo likely suspended. I'll pause here. Aiden, tier 1. Lots of guys to talk through. Who's speaking your mind the most here?
Yeah, I've got 2. One guy in the tier, one guy missing who I think should be included. So I'm even moving one up. First one I want to talk about is Drake London. This man's got a problem, and he's addicted to scoring touchdowns. He is running on such a hot streak right now, and it's pretty awesome to watch. This is what we've been waiting for. We've been waiting 3 years now for this, and it just feels like it's finally happening. If you take out week 1, he's pretty much averaging just shy of 10 targets, right around 8 catches a week, over 50 yards in every game, and has only not scored in one of those 6 games. So just uber consistent. He had the 133 burger, but he's pretty much just hanging out around 20 points every week. Just kind of set it and forget it. So super fun. Wide receiver 3 on the year. The other guy who I think belongs back in wide receiver 1 territory is none other than the Cheetah. We know what he's capable of with Tua. I just think he's got to be there with Tua. We know what he's capable of. Week 1 was an absolute masterclass from Tyreek with Tua healthy. So, I don't think Arizona's very good. That defense is absolutely gettable. Don't be surprised if Tyreek is up there in the top 3, top 2, wide receivers this week.
Okay, so I appreciate the Cheetah call out. I don't know if the podcast knows this, but I'm one of the bigger Cheetah backers in the country. I'm a big Cheetah guy. I just didn't. I on the field, big Cheetah guy. Off the field, man. That's another podcast. Big Cheetah guy on the field. He was interviewed today. He said, "We're getting the band back together. Fucking put me in the lineup." I literally got chills. You ever get chills so tough that your nipples start hurting? That's what I felt. That's what I felt with Tyreek Hill. I just didn't want to get ahead of myself. I didn't want to hurt myself. I didn't want to put him in the top 3 and then get hurt again. So that's the only reason he's in tier 2. It's just like more of like to protect myself for myself, Aiden. But I appreciate you pumping up Cheetah.
He's
Makes
back.
me happy.
He's back. Like, give me all the Dolphins. Like, move up Waddle. I'm firing up HN. I'm pretty fired up. Like, I'm just like a desperate X ready to get hurt. Like, I'm just like, whatever, man. Like let's do it again. So yeah.
Day after my wedding and Cheetah hits a 30 burger. Oh baby. Oh baby. All right, Keegan, thoughts on tier 1 before we get to tier 2?
No, I love the call out for Drake London. I mean, high-end wide receiver 1 for the rest of the season. Like, unbeknownst to us, of course, like we were very hard on him in the beginning of the season. But look, the numbers are the numbers. He ranks first in first read targets, 57, second in expected fantasy points, and second in fantasy points since week 2. I mean, the stretch that he's on is amazing, and I love that. And you know what? Jamar Chase, his rank is so funny to me because, look, all the like advanced stats metrics are in favor of T. Higgins. But you know what T. Higgins can't do? T. Higgins can't turn a throw behind the line of scrimmage into a touchdown at any given moment. No, what Jamar Chase is able to do with the football in his hands is otherworldly. I'm happy to see him back in this tier, and we don't have to worry about any of that nonsense. Like, I hope he gets the bag and he gets paid what he deserves. But that guy can turn any pass into a touchdown. So I do love this tier. I think you could stretch it to where Hill is. Like, I don't know if you have to adjust it right now, but I think you could stretch the tier to where Hill is, include CeeDee, include Tyreek. Last year, CeeDee Lamb saw almost like a 9-point bump in fantasy points per game post-bye. I mean, the post-bye stuff was so good for CeeDee last year. They just have to figure it out. He's too good of a wide receiver to keep performing like this. There. Yeah, I mean, off the bye, they're going to figure it out. If you stretch this tier to me to 8, and we could figure out how to work in like Diggs, Reed into that second tier, like then we're talking, I think. It's a big first tier. They're not all elite, but I get it.
He doesn't like it.
I just think look, like tier 2 is really good receivers. Like, it's tough, but offenses that aren't necessarily super humming, like outside of maybe DJ Moore.
Yeah, but
like,
all Hill needs is one ball from Tyree.
Or 40. I want 40.
Well, of course. But I'm just saying, he just needs one. We're kind of talking tier 2 and tier 1 here. I think
we're just, more to fuck tier it. 2. Let's just go to tier 2.
Because tier 1 is all set it, forget it. Cooper Kupp, if he's back. Remember, last time that Cooper Kupp was in the lineup for those who were scared to start him coming off an injury, he turned in a 30-point fantasy game on 21 targets. Like, do not be afraid to start Cooper Kupp.
He's going to see 18 targets. Like, I whether or not that's a good thing for his offense or for him at his age, Cooper Kupp plays, he's going to get peppered. That's just.
I know I've segued into the second tier, but seriously, the post-bye bump for CeeDee Lamb is such a big deal. Tyreek Hill having to, all it takes is 2 passes. 2 passes to connect with Tyreek Hill for 50-plus yard touchdowns, and we're talking about a 25-point fantasy game. You know,
hose me down.
Like,
I'm envisioning the Cheetah touchdowns. I need to relax. Okay, tier 2, wide receiver 7 through 12. CeeDee Lamb at 7, Tyreek Hill at 8, Malik Neighbors 9, T Higgins 10, Garrett Wilson 11, DJ Moore 12. So the reason I don't have CeeDee Lamb in tier 1 is usage has been top 8. That's it. I agree with Keegan though. Like, all it takes is this offense to just start funneling targets to CeeDee Lamb, and he's back there in that top tier. Tyreek Hill, please, Tua, I'm begging you, please stay healthy, throw the ball to our man, win some games. I'm a big fan of Mike McDaniel as well, and it's been rough without Tua. Malik Neighbors, I'm really worried about this offense.
There's no other way to put it.
I'm really worried about how bad Daniel Jones looked without Andrew Thomas as his left tackle. I don't think that got reported enough, but Andrew Thomas is one of the more promising young left tackles in the NFL. He broke his foot, Lisfranc injury, he's out for the remainder of the year. I think I saw Daniel Jones get sacked 10 times against the Eagles. Now, they have a good front, but I don't know if I'm being hyperbole. It literally, every time they painted that game was Scott Hansen being like, Daniel Jones, dropping back. Dude just got engulfed. I thought he tore his knee like 3 times. It was rough. So I love Neighbors. Neighbors is going to continue to have good usage, but I'm worried about production without Andrew Thomas in that offense. T. Higgins is one of the best picks in all of fantasy. Hopefully, fantasy nerds don't talk about it on Twitter, because every time someone talks about the best wide receiver pick, they die on the field, not in life. But please, no one.
Sam Sherman.
No one talk about T. Higgins. Garrett Wilson led the Jets in expected fantasy points by a mile in week 7, even with Tay in the fold. So very encouraging usage in week 1 of the Tay relationship for the Jets. And then DJ Moore. DJ Moore's got to be a top 12 plays. Honestly, one of my favorite plays. I think the Chicago Bears are going to take it to Washington, or at least try to. Caleb Williams is a resident of the DMV. He grew up in that area. The Commanders wanted him. Cliff Kingsbury and Caleb have a relationship. Feel like Caleb's going to come out firing, especially after the bye. And I think DJ Moore is going to be a big recipient of those receptions. I'll pause here. Keegan, let's have you talk through your thoughts. I want to get your Garrett Wilson thoughts, and then we'll get Aiden's unabashed homerism on DJ Moore afterwards.
Of course, I'll get into the Garrett Wilson, but real quick, I found the exact jump. I was underselling it by 9 points. In 2023, before the bye, CeeDee Lamb was averaging 14.9 fantasy points per game. After the bye, he was averaging 28.5 fantasy points per game. He's currently averaging around 15 points per game. What he's going to do after the bye, it's yet to be seen. And if you go back to 2022, he was averaging 14.6 points per game before the bye. And after the bye, he was averaging 20.53 points per game. I don't know what it is after the bye, but CeeDee Lamb just loves to lock the fuck in. So
hope so.
Very excited about that. But yes, and one quick note before I get to Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins. He's eclipsed Jamar Chase in first retarget share in 4 straight games. I would be remiss if I didn't shout out my guy T. Higgins on every wide receiver episode.
Is that a good thing? Is it a good thing that he's out targeting Chase? I'm not saying
first retarget share. He's leading all players over this stretch in 4 straight games. 42.1% of first retarget share. What's good for PPR formats? It's good for half PPR formats. He's getting the ball, and that's what we like to see. Now, Garrett Wilson. There was a lot of hemming and hawing about what would happen when Davante Adams gets into town and how his role will change for Garrett Wilson. He had a really bad drop, and I love Garrett Wilson because he's one of the most mature players on the Jets, and he owned it, and he knows that he has to catch that ball. Even if it got tipped, he knows he can't make that mistake. There are really good signs, though, when watching that game back. The coverage that Adams draws is so positive for Garrett Wilson, especially when we're talking about Davante Adams drawing defensive players to the perimeter. Garrett Wilson is one-on-one running through the middle of the field. He's open so much more because of Davante Adams. The biggest problem, though, is not Garrett. It's not Davante being there. It's Aaron Rodgers' willingness to throw over the middle of the field right now. It's a huge ordeal, and I'm not sure what's going on. He just doesn't have his fastball anymore. Last week, the interception he threw that was caught one-handed by that rookie in Pittsburgh, the play before, he had Garrett Wilson screaming open and just turned it down. I don't know if he doesn't trust his arm or what, but he hesitated, checked down to Brees for a negative play. Next play, tries to force it to Garrett on a play he's not open, picked off. It's not a Garrett problem. It's not a Tay problem. It's a 42-year-old quarterback problem that they have there. But the point remains the same. Davante is good for Garrett. We need to stop thinking that it's bad that he's there. I think they can both eat, and he will continue to get open at a much higher rate because of Davante Adams. So you just kind of got to hope that Aaron Rodgers starts trusting his arm a little bit, because Garrett will continue to be open in the middle of the field. You just need Rodgers to sack up and throw the ball.
Wow. I just got a whole breakdown of the Jets offense. I had no idea that Rodgers was struggling throwing over the middle of the field. That's #insight, folks.
I'm sorry. I know that
we
was
have troops
lot,
in the ground. No, we've got troops on the ground here.
It's a lot, but it's been pretty bad, and it's been pretty blatant. I'm not going to sit here and defend the ayahuasca drug addict any longer, because at some point there is an offensive issue that we can tie back to a certain player with gray hairs in his beard.
What if that they just traded Adams and he just became the sacrificial lamb, X wide receiver, and it just opened up everything for Wilson and for Brees? That'd be he'd be pissed, but that'd be pretty sweet. Aiden, moving away from the Jets players, because I feel like that's a whole other podcast we could have. Anyone in this tier quickly here before we get to tier 3.
I want to say I felt like that Simpsons meme with the grandpa telling the story to all the kids there. It was just like me and Sean just were along for story time there.
Sorry.
No, but I do echo what Keegan said. I was firmly in the boat that Tay was good for Garrett Wilson. There's no reason it can't be a 2-man funnel. So Keegan, that was awesome. Just high level with DJ Moore. Yeah, awesome matchup. I think the Bears are going to absolutely sling it. Caleb is trending up in like the best of ways going into the bye week. Feels like Shane Waldron finally got his head out of his ass. The first quarter stuff is still like really concerning, but when they let Caleb throw the ball and they really spread it out, this offense is pretty lethal. So love DJ Moore in this game. He had a hat trick last year against him. Just absolutely toasted them on Thursday Night Football.
He did. That's right.
Absolutely lovely.
That.
So there's no reason why he can't do that again. Like this defense just straight up isn't very good. And I think Caleb's going to have a little extra chip on his shoulder being the hometown kid. So love DJ. Love DJ this week.
All right, tier 3, wide receivers 13 to 20. I've got Jaden Reed, Steph Diggs, Devontae Adams, Zay Flowers, Brian Thomas, Tank Dell, George Pickens, and Devonta Smith. I'm going to highlight one guy in this tier. It was my egg on my face moment last week. I had Tank Dell way too low, and you guys were like, got to bump him up. And I'm like, oh, gosh, you're right. I got to bump him up, hand up. That's on me. And then he goes out there and scores 0 fantasy points. And I was like, you know what? I crushed it. I crushed my ranking. All right, I crushed it on purpose. I totally crushed it.
That one was bad. That one was on us.
Tank Dell, when I went and did the research, 18th best usage last week. Complete fluke. He scored 0 points. It makes 0 sense. He's a screaming regression candidate. I don't believe in Indianapolis as a defense. I think Tank Dell is like a borderline must start. I know it has not been a good year for Tank, but this is the Tank Dell week. Like, this is like, I might put him on the goddamn thumbnail week. All right. That's how I feel, even though it's going to be DJ Moore, but I feel so good about Tank Dell this week, guys. Naturally, he's going to score 6 points, but anyone else in this tier, any Tank thoughts? I'm going to pass it over to you guys. So how you feeling, Aiden?
Yeah, I think great point on the Tank talk. That was just a weird game last week. The Tank talk was good. We saw these teams square off in week 1, and it was just an absolute points fest. I wish Nico was with us this week, but someone's going to have to clean up, and I think it's going to be our guy Nathaniel. So really excited for both of them. Nico thought
talking about somebody who's dead. He's not here with us, but he's here with us in spirit.
The second guy, though, that I want to highlight is Smitty. I know you mentioned the kind of like second fiddle in the offense. The issue last week is Jalen Hurts completed 10 passes. It's not like A.J. Brown had 20 targets. This was a guy that threw the ball 14 times, completed 10 passes. So the game script was just not in their favor. It was Saquon Barkley, and then a little bit more Saquon Barkley. And that was pretty much the theme of that game with two tush pushes, which were really cool. I'm way to reward him. So I think Devonta Smith gets back in a big way this week. I really just see a shootout. I think both defenses aren't very good. Both QBs going to be slinging it to keep up with each other. So don't be surprised if Smitty's, like a wide receiver 1 type play this week.
Keegan, tier 3.
Man, fuck it. George Pickens down there somewhere, right? I mean, what a system that he is going to get to run with Russ Wilson. And I will say this, after watching that game back again, the amount of touch that Russell Wilson puts on a ball is something that feels silly to mention, but you really can't understate what that means for a deep threat wide receiver like George Pickens. I mean, the ball just goes so high in the air, and it feels like it drops into his breadbasket, but it's very complimentary to the Pickens style of football that he plays. So I think it's another good opportunity for Pickens to shine as a wide receiver 1. Brian Thomas Jr., we got to talk about him, right? Ranks top 5 among all wide receivers in receiving yards with 513 and yards per route run with 2.73. The only 7 rookie wide receivers since 2010 that's averaged more than his 15.5 fantasy points per game are Odell Beckham, Malik Neighbors, Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, Justin Jefferson, Michael Thomas, and Mike Evans. We've got a stud in the making here, and I need to know, Sean, right now, A.D. Mitchell or Brian Thomas Jr.
Don't do this to him. He's getting married.
Here's what's gonna happen. That looks terrible. That looks terrible. There's no
no easy way around it.
There's no denying it. Hey, hand up. Not a great. Not. I'm surprised. If I had any juice on Twitter, that'd be a freezing cold take for sure. I think he's a sell candidate.
Whoa.
I think Brian Thomas is a sell candidate.
That's not at all. He apologized and then doubled, and then he went in for more.
I apologize for absolutely nothing.
No. Because AD Mitchell's a work is a project. Brian Thomas is like a full blown X already, right? So like,
Yeah.
So why sell?
Shout out Jetpack Galileo, one of my favorite Twitter follows. He's like, I'll never give up on you, AD Mitchell, and it's just AD Mitchell toasting dudes as a route runner. So like,
he's good. He's good.
I'm holding my Mitchell stock. All right, I'm holding it firmly.
I didn't mean to deter the conversation from this tier, but I just want to shout out how good he's been.
Thomas is amazing, but the way Twitter bros are talking about him is like talking about him like he's Randy Moss. I've seen Randy Moss comps, and I'm like,
he might.
He did hit that stat last week where it was like only other
wide receiver 16 in fantasy points per game, and he's got top 30 usage. I get it; he's been quite good, but like people are treating him like he's Puka. People think he's treating him like he's Puka.
He's up. Well, if Brian Thomas had Matthew Stafford as his quarterback, he damn well might be pacing.
How fucking dare you? I will bring the Puka Wars back. Don't you dare make me fight for him again.
BTJ is up to wide receiver 8 and on Keep Trade Cut, which is probably
that's outrageous.
Which is a bit high. So like quick dyno piece if you're dyno bro. Maybe cash in on that, but I don't know. I'm not.
I wouldn't do that. You took him 10th over. You took him what, like 10th overall? Fuck that. I'm keeping BTJ. I'm locking and loading.
Yeah,
he's very good. Brian Thomas. I have him in the top 17 of wide receivers. I would not rank someone top 17 if I didn't think they were good. But he is being ultra efficient. He's going up against Jair Alexander. I mean, like my projection system likes him. He's got a good RTM score. It's like. BTJ is awesome, but I'm saying he could be a sell high because his sentiment is so high right now because he's been so sick. He's been an excellent player. So I will give flowers. I liked BTJ coming into the season. I just thought I galaxy brained it a little bit with Mitchell because he was 2 rounds cheaper. So I was like, I'm getting BTJ, but he's cheaper. That was kind of my approach. Ready to move on to tier 4? We ready, boys?
Yeah.
All right. Tier 4. Wide receivers 21 to 29. Amari Cooper, Juwan Jennings, Terry McLaurin, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Marvin Harrison, Jalen Waddle, Darnell Mooney, Keenan Allen, Romeo Dobbs. That sigh is the Jackson Smith-Njigba sigh.
He's pissing me off.
We've got some sigh guys. We got some sigh guys in this tier. I've got some major sigh guys in this tier. So we're going to start here with JSN. So bizarre season. If you actually watch these Seahawks games, he has like multiple huge completions, just out of his arm's reach or just off the tip of his fingers, where he catches a ball in the end zone, but he gets pushed out of bounds. Like he is like a couple, 3 or 4 big plays away from having a really monster year. And if DK doesn't play, they're going to build the passing game around JSN. Now, Gino loves Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett's still a good player, but like JSN, they look so good whenever they get him going over the middle of the field. So you have to feel good about him. I don't know if DK is going to play or not. They're saying he's not going to practice on Thursday. He may get eliminated on Friday. DK is kind of a maniac, so I wouldn't rule it out. But JSN, you got to start him if there's no DK Metcalf. And I know, Aiden, you'll talk. Like, do you have thoughts on JSN before we get to the next guy? Because I got to talk about the next guy.
I'm mainly just frustrated. It just doesn't make sense how like the lack of usage with him. Like after the year,
usage is good.
Yeah,
the usage is top 18. They're just not hitting home on anything right now.
Yeah, it's just not there. But yeah, to your point, kind of a must start without DK. Whether it feels good or not, you probably got to do it.
We got to have the Maserati conversation or the Mazda, whatever car you want to associate with Marvin Harrison Jr.
He's the
this is not a fantasy. This is not a fantasy friendly role. The Coach Speak Index. Did you hear Jonathan Gannon talking about Harrison? They're like, I'm not panicking about Marvin.
Us win. Yeah, he's helping us win in ways that don't appear on the stat sheet. I'm like, such a
defensive coordinator answer.
All right,
but like,
Gannon.
Did you hear what he said?
He's running clear out routes. Like it's awful.
He drew the double team to get Dortch the touchdown. That's what he said. I'm like, dude, like what the fuck?
Yeah, if your offense revolves around getting Greg Dortch open, like there's a fundamental issue with your offense. And it's not no like layups. On the routes that he does win, which are very impressive, I'm sure everybody on Twitter has seen that double move route that he won on, and he was wide fucking open. Like it's really impressive, like when he does get open. But they just don't throw him the ball. Like you said, Aiden, there's no easy routes. There's no layups. Nothing. There's no scheme touches for him. Like, get the guy the ball. Like, I knew it was bad news bears in the very first week after we all freaked out about Mazda Marv, and Kyler was like, "It's not my job to give him the ball. Like, that's Drew's job." I'm like, "Oh my god, we're in for a hellish season."
You're the quarterback.
Kyler hates Drew Petzing. Have you heard the shit Kyler's been saying to the media? He's like, "I just want the ball, bro. Like, we got a good run game. That's cool." I didn't know this. They run 13 personnel, like, pretty consistently. They run 3 tight ends, 1 running back, 1 receiver. What the fuck is Maserati Marv supposed to do in that formation?
Yeah, that's
like, what is that?
It's not winnable.
We're just going to silo you on the outside, Marvin, and we're going to have James Conner in the backfield. We'll have McBride, 2 other tight ends, and like you're just going to be out there by yourself. You better go win, Marvin. But anyways, the ball's not coming your way.
Brutal. They're asking him to do something that none of the other rookie receivers are being asked to do.
No.
It's like the antithesis of the Malik Neighbors role, where it's like they're going to kill him. Like, they throw him the ball so much. It's so many terrible places in the field to get the ball. But like, they're like, we're going to throw this guy in the middle of the field and he's going to catch a touchdown. Like, we're going to get him ball in space and see what happens. Like, there's nothing easy. You guys, Aiden already said this. There's nothing easy about about Marvin Harrison's role right now. It is like playing receiver at the hardest possible level without getting any layup routes. Nothing.
Yeah,
it's rough.
Keegan might have been right. Like, it might be like one of the worst picks in fantasy football this year.
Dang, yeah, I was getting a little scared about that take, but
no, it's fucking brutal.
And to be honest, I don't want to be right about it either, because I do have some Marvin shares, and I've enjoyed the breakout games. But I'm not enjoying what's happening after the fact.
Like, even if he was
it's terrible.
It's not a fantasy friendly role. It just really. It's the exact opposite of I'd kill for Marvin Harrison to be in Darnell Mooney's role. Like, dude's just getting peppered. Getting peppered. Like we get Darnell Mooney has a great role. Keenan Allen's got a really good role coming out of the bye. Romeo Doubs. Like, what if we even just got him the Romeo Doubs role? Like, because he's basically the sacrificial X.
Let's do it.
Let's throw him ball up. He's got incredible ball skills, or he's supposed to. Let's just huck him the ball. Like, let's see what happens.
Gosh, the other problem too, where I feel like Marvin Harrison could be really good. I know we're like talking a bunch about Marvin Harrison, but like, if the Cardinals were getting into the red zone more often, maybe we do see some better Marvin Harrison usage. But they only have a couple trips, and they're using him to clear out stuff for Greg Dortch. That's not great. But if the offense as a whole was better and they had more trips to the red zone, then maybe we do give some opportunities to him. But Petzing is just galaxy branding every offensive drive the Cardinals had. And it's just like, dude, I get it. You want to run the ball with James Conner. That's fine. You want to run your tight ends out there because you got a good crew of them. But fix it. You've got Michael Wilson. You've got Greg Dortch. Like, let's get some 3 wide receiver sets. Free up Marvin Harrison. Let's get busy.
Dude, he's Greg Romaning the offense. Like, he's running Tip Ryman, Elijah Higgins, Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., James Conner. That's their base right now. And that's fucking cool. That's a cool knuckleball. But they're building the goddamn plane at 13.
That's cool every 3 drives, but
it's sick that they can do that. But like, dude, you're not going to reach your ceiling unless you unlock what Maserati Marv is and what he can do. And we've seen it. He's had big games already. So like I'm holding out faith that we get kind of a squeaky wheel game. Gannon is a disciple of Nick Sirianni, and Nick Sirianni's Mr. Feed the ball to certain guys after the media gets on guys. So maybe Gannon's cognizant of that, but I don't know, man. Outside of Maserati Marv in this tier, Juwan Jennings is not practicing yet with his hip injury. So if he plays, you got to start him, considering Ayuk's out. But you got to be cognizant of his reports. Got to get limited in. Hip injuries are no joke. Anyone else in this tier? We're going to jump to the next tier, guys.
What do we do about Jalen Waddle this week? Just real quickly.
Oh,
we start him?
Start him. Yeah, trending up.
Okay.
Live
offense. Whole offense. This is a huge tier. Let's go.
Big tier here, guys, of tier 4, guys that I am exclusively have in a league. My whole entire receiving core is this tier because it's so hurt. Wide receivers 30 through 44. Can't make up my mind here. I've got Wan'Dale Robinson, Xavier Worthy, Ladd McConkey, Deontay Johnson, Khalil Shakir, Jordan Addison, Tyler Lockett, Michael Pittman, Cortland Sutton, Keon Coleman, Cedric Tillman, Jerry Jeudy, Christian Kirk, Josh Downs, Pop, DeMario Douglas. All right, Wan'Dale, very worried. Very worried about this. Very worried about this Giants offense. He still saw 9 targets. So, you probably still have to play him if you got him. Xavier Worthy, I am a bit worried about DeAndre Hopkins, but it just seems like every week Mahomes can't hit him deep. I don't really know what's going on there. Very low on Deontay Johnson this week. He's borderline not playable with Bryce Young back. I don't know how to approach that. That is just a do not start, in my opinion. Keon Coleman, excellent usage. 13th best usage in week 7. Seems like Cooper Kupp opened up that offense because Shakir was also really good. Shakir and Coleman were quite good. And Cedric Tillman and Jerry Jr. got back-to-back Cleveland boys. Cedric Tillman. I mean, Keegan, you remember we used to talk about him in the draft prep?
Yeah, and that was a low-hanging fruit dynasty guy I had for a long time, and I just spent 90% of my fab to pick him up in one of our leagues where he's just been flying around the waivers. But look, this is the guy who was behind Jalen Hyatt at Tennessee and was a stud wide receiver, like really 2,000-yard seasons. Then he gets injured week 3 of the year that Jalen Hyatt wins the Blitnikoff. Like, Cedric Tillman can ball, and now
good player.
It's Jameis. So I like that.
Tillman reminds me of Juwan Jennings. They both went to Tennessee. Big, lengthy.
Super similar. Yeah, very similar.
Lanky. Yeah, similar receivers. Built kind of like tight ends. Yeah, pause for sure. Cleveland guys are starts for sure. Jameis is going to huck it. Baltimore.
It's going to be awesome.
Is a pass funnel.
It's going to be so sick.
Baltimore's a pass funnel.
I wish I had Njoku on some teams. I think Njoku's going to go nuts.
Oh, I know. If we're doing tight end rankings, I might just have one just going to go
nuts with
Dave
under center.
Dave? Yeah, it's a pretty sweet run out for the Chief.
What are the first 4 letters of his last name spell?
Wins. Unfucking real.
Christian Kirk down so horrendously bad. It is
man.
so
I'm giving up.
We were getting close to what felt like sustainability with him, and it's we're back to square one. We're back to square one.
Oh my god, that was unbelievable.
It's so fucked up.
He's like literally president. How many Christian Kirk? Like you own a portfolio of Kirk, and you're
redraft Dino.
Aiden and I are like both like just locked in Christian Kirk fans. Like I've been a Christian Kirk fan since he started his college career, and I think Aiden's just been a guy like that's been a fan of him.
He's good. He's fucking good.
He's a PPR machine. If you had him for the past 2 years,
it breaks our heart. I think Aiden and I text about it like once a week. Like man,
that's a lunch steal.
Sad.
That's a lunch steal
this week. He's
that's
on the
a
bench
lunch
this week.
steal.
Yeah, he's learning a lesson.
What if? Hear me out. What if BTJ gets the Jair treatment and then everything's opened up over the middle and we get this Christian Kirk?
Then it's probably
it's probably Evan Ingram. That's the problem.
Yeah, no, he's on the bench. I'm not ready to start him until he gives me at least 10 PPR fantasy points again.
Here's the other thing is, speaking of favorite players, like underdog wide receivers to root for, Josh Downs is not startable until Anthony Richardson figures out how to throw a football. Because this is a 5-yard out route. We are wasting Josh Downs with Anthony Richardson. I love Anthony Richardson. I think he's a freak talent, but like right now, he's just not ready to play football that is complementary to wide receiver production. You can't complete 10 passes a game and expect a guy like Josh Downs to be usable in fantasy.
And they won.
That's not his role.
And they won.
It's a nightmare, dude.
They won't beat the Texans playing like that. Like, they need him.
But he averages 28 fantasy points per game against the Texans. A-Rich has got the Texans number. I don't really know why.
In 1.5 quarter sample or what?
Yeah. No, he went off against them earlier this year too.
He had 9 completions.
Yeah,
still went off.
But that's not good.
We're not talking quarterbacks. We're talking wide receivers, Sean.
I want to highlight one other guy that I'm upset about too.
Cortland.
What the fuck was that, man? They took the Saints out back 26 pass attempts, and we can't get Cortland Sutton a target. What are we doing here? Like, it's
Troy. It's the Franklin season, bro. It's happening.
I'm gonna find Sean Payton's
the shower narrative between Bo Nix and Troy Franklin is ruining your Cortland Sutton shares.
Oh my god, this is a frustrating tier.
Yes,
but actually, I'll touch on a guy that's exciting though. Keon Coleman is trending up. We touched about him on our waiver thread. I don't know if you guys saw that. We are on Twitter too. We are, YouTube's our thing, but we are on Twitter. Go give us a follow. Keon Coleman is trending up in a big way. I think Amari Cooper playing Big Brother vibes for him and helping open up some things with his route running savviness is really good for Keon Coleman. So I like
for Keon Coleman. All he did in college was just get the ball and yak it up. And what do you know? Get some yak opportunities. He gets 100 yards receiving. I mean, just get the ball in the guy's hands. He's a playmaker. I don't care.
They're putting him in the right role.
Keon Coleman is that like bus meme where like you're looking at like the rocks and then you're looking at the sun setting or sunshine in the bus, the two guys, and like Keon Coleman's like
the bus meme. I heard
bust. The bus meme.
Wait, what's the bus?
No, he's the bus meme where it's like advanced stats nerds, like that boy nice watcher. Like 100%. Keon Coleman is that boy nice watcher. And before we're out of this tier, my favorite guy always to talk about every week is
J.A.
I think Jordan Addison's going to go for like 25 points this week.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't get it.
You guys know me too well, but
I don't get it.
Rams defense, pretty beatable. Like, I'm not super worried about them. I think it's going to be a little bit of a shootout. There's some rumors swirling about Minnesota Rams, trade stuff. Who cares about all that?
Yeah.
What I care about is Jordan Addison, 55-yard touchdown bomb coming soon to a TV near you.
That's really the only way he hits home, bro.
Yeah, but he likes to do that. He does that six weeks out of the season. So
on prime time too. He's done it. Yeah, I can see it. We'll see. I would rather start a lot of these guys over Jordan.
Man, we really just had a soliloquy about Christian Kirk. That was kind of like therapeutic. I really feel that.
Last thing before we get out of this tier, if this is a pretty good spot for the Ladd McConkey breakout game. I'll leave it at that. Oh my goodness, we have 2 tiers left. Oh shoot. Okay.
Yeah,
okay, next tier. next tier here, 45 to 55. Jalen Tolbert, Calvin Ridley, Rome Odunze, Christian Watson, Dante Wicks, Sade Bateman, Xavier Legette, Tutu Atwell, DeAndre Hopkins, Michael Wilson, Jalen McMillan. There's a new Sade in town, and his name is Rashad Bateman.
He's fucking back.
So good.
He's so back.
He's so good. He's so good at football. He's just, him and Lamar are finally connecting, and wow, he is so freaking good.
Him and Zay are such good compliments to each other in terms of like total opposite skill sets. It's awesome. Awesome. I love it.
I've got a bone to pick with Twitter, who's basically like, Lamar's never thrown to anyone. Guys, Mark Andrews, star. Isaiah Likely, really good. Zay and Sade are really both round one talent. They're both really good. Now, they haven't proven it over a consistent period of time, but that's a damn good wide receiver duo if they're healthy.
They're a
MV3
right now. They're
MV3, baby.
MV3. That's the best team in the AFC right now for sure. That's the best team in the AFC.
If he can't beat Mahomes this year, Lamar, if you're watching, please, man, we're like some of your biggest fans. Please,
we need you.
Please get it done.
I need him in the Super Bowl this year. It's got to happen.
If the Niners can't get it done this year, I am fully transitioning to Ravens. Go like Lamar, please get it done. I will be betting on you to win the MVP, to win the Super Bowl. Get it done.
I bail on the Jets today. Who cares?
Imagine if we just pulled up in Ravens jerseys, how much happier we'd be. Okay, else out in this tier, Calvin Ridley moved him all the way up to wide receiver 46 after the DeAndre Hopkins trade.
Huge bump.
Huge bump. DeAndre Hopkins is a chief. Anyone that's galaxy branding that and saying that's not a good thing needs to touch grass. That's a very good trade. He maybe hasn't played that well this year, but he was so fucking good last year, and he is going to. I think Mahomes is going to start throwing touchdowns again because he has DeAndre Hopkins. That is my theory.
I think Kelsey gets an uptick too because of it. Like, there's finally like another competent person on that field, which is
a real receiver.
Yeah, like
a real receiver.
A real.
Oh my god, it should be so good for Kelsey and Worthy. To be honest.
Big bump.
I think it's good for everyone.
Yeah, it's.
They honestly need to make this trade even with Rashid. Like now, it all makes sense, right? Like,
there's pieces.
He's the true replacement. All right, last tier here before we get out of here. It's mostly the injured guys. Wide receivers 56 to 61. I just got to call this out. DK Metcalf is trending towards not playing. Olave is trending towards playing. And Deebo Samuel is recovering from pneumonia. So I don't know what to do with these guys. Jacoby Myers has been banged up too. All these guys are solid plays if they play, though. So I just wanted to call that out. And then you randomly have Ricky Pearsall and Josh Palmer in the group.
Slick fucking Rick, dude. I'm really excited to see Ricky Pearsall in a slightly larger role. I think whether Juwan plays or not, I think they're definitely going to try to get him more involved. Chris Olave. Oh, I'm like, what are you doing down here? Yeah, is he not
probably going to play, but we'll see.
Why do all of his concussions take so long?
Because he's super concussed.
Yeah,
he's low key. No one's talking about him.
Accumulating them almost
a
in
lot.
a similar fashion.
I think he's got like 3 or 4.
He's got 3 really bad ones too. Yeah, not great for a lot.
That's fair. Okay, yeah, these are the injured guys. Okay, yeah, no, I'm excited to see Pearsall. Yeah, man.
Giant PPR scam on paper. Jacoby Myers, if he plays, got to assume some of that target share that's missing without Devontae Adams. If he does play, I don't know if you love the start against Kansas City, but he could be a decent deep flex play. I think Pearsall is an interesting play too. If Debo plays, coming back from pneumonia sounds horrible, but it's a good spot. You know,
such a good spot.
I feel like I'm going to start him because I'd rather start him than other people on my bench if he does play. Athletes are freaks of nature. Like pneumonia is like a multi-week recovery thing for us normies.
Like a month.
Yeah.
Normies, that's good.
We brushed over the last tier, but just like quick thoughts. This is a great spot for Rome Odunze this week. I've said it a couple times, but their offense should pump like 30 points out of the Washington Commanders defense this week. It's going to be a full-blown shootout.
Yeah,
and
I think the Bears fan says I think they're going to pump them.
Yeah, look, I'm trying to take Aiden's bias out of this. Like, I do think this is a really good opportunity for all those pass catchers. And yeah, I'm glad we talked about
2 of them are going to hit. 2 of them are going to hit. It's just a matter of which 2 hit.
Two are going to hit. And then also the other guy this week is Jalen McMillan. You know, I think Sterling Shepard's going to have a bigger role than we imagined, but it's going to be him and McMillan. You know, somebody's got to catch the football this week. I think if you're a PPR team and you've got Jalen McMillan, like you might want to consider starting him in the flex this week.
That's it. 61 wide receivers, 7 tiers. We've done it.
We did it.
Thank you guys for joining as always. I will see you this weekend. And thank you everybody for tuning in. Until next time.